Mr. Sabers and you discuss calling Mr. Krugman as a witness for Todd?
That was September 13th, I think. There was such a flurry of emails going back and forth. And I don't specifically recall that one, but I do now remember Bob bringing that up. And I don't know if we talked on the phone or just traded the emails about it.
And that would have been right before the trial started. Is that your recollection?
Yeah, just a few days before.
I want to move on a little bit here and ask, are you familiar with the field of biomechanical engineering?
No.
Do you know
what it is, but
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. I know what it is, but I'm certainly not an expert or not that knowledgeable in it.
Did you consider consulting an expert in biomechanical engineering to investigate whether Amy could have sustained her injuries in a fall?
No.
Did you consider or investigate the principles of force that could be generated from a fall versus a strike or a swing of the rake?
I did not.
I want to show you Exhibit 233, which we looked at yesterday. It's a letter from Mr. Mullis to you. I understand, I think it's undated.
I can see it, yes.
Okay, thank you. And if we can scroll, I think it starts on page 3 and 4. They're very small for me. Did you understand?
Oh, I just realized I can actually.
Mr. Mullis
to
be asking questions here about investigating.
I didn't watch the first one.
A theory that Amy died from an accidental fall.
But I didn't watch it live.
Certainly that's what he's referencing there in the photos or the drawings that he made. But I don't know when.
Oh my gosh, this breaks my heart.
But without a date.
Would you agree that this would be a letter that Mr. Mullis sent you before trial?
Oh, yeah, yes.
I don't understand why. Yeah, he did.
And
no,
do you recall?
Not yet. Not
Mr. Mullis
PCR
asking you.
The son hasn't testified yet.
To investigate how the far right tines did not come out of Amy's body.
I don't remember that specific question. No.
Did you watch it live, Deborah? Like back in 2019, or did you just catch up on it? You mean?
If we could go to the first page, bottom paragraph. Could you review that for me?
I realized it's 6 years to the day today that he was arrested.
Okay.
Would you agree that Mr. Mullis is asking you to verify the possibility of it being an accident?
That's what it says, yes.
This is bad. I mean,
and then on the second line,
bad. Yeah.
Never truly, I'm sorry. was totally out of the far right wound?
That's what it says.
So would it be fair to say that you weren't considering, the principles of physics or Newton's law of motion when you reviewed the autopsy report?
It's so awkward.
Excuse me, can you say that again?
Well,
Is it fair to say, based on your prior testimony,
hold
that
on.
you weren't considering the laws of physics or like Newton's law of motion when you reviewed Dr. Cruz's autopsy report?
No, I wasn't considering that type of technical analysis.
And because we're lawyers, that's why we would hire an expert.
Yeah, I just don't get why he didn't hire any experts.
Yes,
If you had had evidence before Mr. Mullis's trial that a swing of the corn rake could not have generated enough force, would you have presented that to the jury?
Did you watch it yesterday, Deborah? That the young defense
Well,
attorney was
I
about to
guess-
drive me crazy.
you start out, if we had that, if evidence or witnesses are helpful to a case, of course you present it.
No, but you have to
And
select.
if you had talked to an expert
You have
and
to
that
select
expert
one.
explained to you that the laws of physics made it impossible for the corn rake to have been swung into Ms. Mullis, would you have presented that to the jury?
Based on that hypothetical, yes.
Yeah, the young
If you
attorney
had
yesterday was
evidence that it was impossible for the corn rake to have been pushed or kicked into Ms. Mullis, would you have also presented that?
Same answer.
Did you present any evidence that Mrs. Mullis's death was the result of an accidental fall?
No.
What did you think of Dr. Cruz?
And when Todd took the stand to testify, did you ask him any questions that would support that Ms. Mullis's death was the result of an accidental fall?
There may have been some questions about what he told law enforcement and medical people right after this happened, but I don't recall. I don't think there would be any other place in his testimony or I would have questioned about that.
Did you present any testimony or evidence about the prescription medications that Amy Mullis was taking at the time of her death?
I don't think so.
Why?
Did you consider or present any testimony or evidence that Amy Mullis was anemic at the time she died?
Yeah, I agree, Deborah. Like, I feel bad for this guy though, this attorney.
I don't think so. Todd may have testified about her
Agree, she was
being
old.
weak and
She
dizzy
was young when she, or not young, but
when she was out in the barn helping get things cleaned up. But I don't remember if there was any specific evidence about any medical reports or evidence about her being anemic.
Do you recall in your opening statement telling the jury that Ms. Mullis was deliberately and viciously murdered?
yes, God. Why did you do
I
that?
don't know if I use those words, but yes, that's what I was telling the jury.
Oh, so she wasn't, somebody tried to say she was like young or that maybe she hadn't
I
been
want
in
to
that
circle back
position, but that
to
doesn't mean she was
the
inexperienced.
text message evidence that was presented at trial. Do you remember there being text messages as a topic with quite a few witnesses?
Yes, I think so.
Do you recall there being witnesses who testified that Amy was unhappy or scared of Todd?
Yes.
Yeah, she had like 3
Did you
time.
obtain copies of the full text messages or cell phone records for Amy and Todd Mullis?
Hmm.
I don't think we had
Gotcha.
100% of the records. No, if that's what you're asking.
I don't
If we
get
could
why
show
he
the
took
witness
this case.
Exhibit 307, the first 18 pages.
Hold on, I'm going
Only.
to pause it real quick while they're looking for this. I don't understand. You may know this, Deborah. So he made his claim for post-conviction relief based on inexperience or ineffective assistance of counsel. And I looked at the affidavit that this guy did, Jerry, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. And I'm trying to figure out why this guy took this case, like originally, because he said that somebody else they knew didn't really want to do it. And then it got kind of like, he was paid for this. I don't think he wasn't a public defender. And he said at the time he had tried or in his affidavit, it says he had tried 7 M1, or maybe not even M1. Maybe he meant 7 felony cases. And I was like, dude, why did you take this case? And he also said, if you watched his part yesterday, he said that he didn't know about technology. So basically, and I'm paraphrasing, he didn't know that he could subpoena the Google records, and he didn't have an expert, or he didn't really think to get an expert to contradict the phone records. Yeah. Yes, I know. And I'm like, you couldn't have got paid that much. What I can't figure out is why he hasn't been, I looked his name up in the Iowa bar, and I would think I guess you could only see if there had been an actual finding of I don't understand why Todd hasn't filed a grievance with the bar against him, or a malpractice suit. But I couldn't find anything about it, because some of this stuff is pretty egregious, not objecting to the whole cheating, comment on the 911 and the hearsay that he should have objected. There's a lot that and having Todd, I want to hear him talk about if putting Todd on the stand. I don't know if she's going to go back into that. Yeah, I don't know why he took this case. And he's got to be what, 70? Why is he still practicing? These are the people that I'm retire if you can. Maybe he can't, but yes, yeah.
Mr. Firehome, do you know if you've seen this document before?
I need to make it bigger. I'm still trying to figure out StreamYard. I don't know if you guys can see it or hear very well. Yesterday, I was streaming for 10 minutes and didn't realize I didn't even have it to where anyone could see it.
The best answer I can give is I don't think so.
He doesn't remember it?
If there are text messages between Todd and Amy that contradicted what witnesses said at trial, would you have used those?
I'm not sure what you mean by contradict.
100%.
Would you characterize the state's evidence as attempting to, paint a picture of discord between Todd and Amy, or tension?
Your Honor, I am going to object on the grounds of 5403 and relevance. This evidence is not admissible, and so it's immaterial, but it's also a report that was generated by Mr. Castle, and wasn't a part of the underlying record at the time Mr. Firehelm even represented them.
I guess, Ms. Nichols-Cook, did you want to respond to that?
Well, Your Honor, it's already admitted. I am not asking this witness to admit it. It's the whole point, right? He didn't have this information because he didn't request it, and he could have used it.
I don't understand why
To impeach
some
the
of
witnesses at
these
trial that talked about messages
women
with Amy that the state relied on.
Right.
is it
Kelly, can
obnoxious
you read
to
me
talk?
back what the
Like,
question was?
I always feel bad if I'm talking when they're talking because you can't hear them and everybody wants to hear that, not like me. So
Would you
I'll
characterize
just
the
pause it if
state's
I'm going to
evidence
talk.
as attempting to, paint a picture of discord between Todd and Amy or tension?
The objection's overruled.
She hadn't offered it into evidence and he
Mr.
wasn't
Firehelm, do you
reading
need the
from it,
question again?
was he?
Please.
Did you understand the state's evidence at trial, or would you characterize it to be attempting to show that Todd and Amy were unhappy, or that there was tension in their marriage and in their home?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So we're gonna scroll down here, what page? Page 14.
They've kind of played a little loose with the I don't understand a lot of these women are very experienced. I'm not the attorney yesterday. She's only been licensed for like 3 years. And I don't like to disparage other attorneys. And I mean, trial is very difficult, especially
And I think I can direct you to line
they've only
233.
been on the case for a few months. Only one of the attorneys has been on since the
and then
beginning,
234 after it.
like since the beginning of the PCR proceeding.
You need to scroll a little bit. I can't see 233.
But they're just struggling with getting, and I mean, I get that maybe
Okay.
they didn't prepare some of these,
Can you tell me what the dates are for
Like
line
witnesses.
233 and 234?
and they're working with what they had.
October 14th, 2018.
And this would have been shortly before Ms. Mullis passed away?
About a month.
And
God,
would you agree that the content of these messages contradict the state's narrative?
he's an object, probably. I think the state's attorneys are getting
Yeah, those two
on the
do, yes.
judge's nerves.
Okay, we can take that one down.
Yes, I think, well, I know Tara Thompson, the short-haired lady, that's not on camera right now. She is in private practice, but she's also with the exoneration. Wait, somebody's talking to me.
Mr. Firehelm, did you take
Yeah.
any steps to impeach or
The others are
discredit
with like the Iowa.
the witnesses who
Okay.
testified at trial regarding Todd and Amy's relationship?
I guess the record would speak for itself. I think we cross-examined them, but I don't recall specifically.
I'm sorry.
Well, I missed it.
Did you take any steps to determine if Amy Mullis had a Facebook account?
Oh, he probably doesn't know.
I don't remember.
Oh my God. But like, go back and look at your trial prep records. Like, I don't understand. I haven't litigated for like 10 years and I still have.
Could it
some
have been
records.
helpful to you to present evidence from Amy?
This is painful.
That her and Todd were happy?
Yeah, I suppose it could have been interesting or relevant to the jury, inconsistent with what was going on, but
And like, I was asking my husband's an attorney with the AG's office. And he was saying like, well, why is this guy testifying right now? Because I think this, I mean, it can be used against him if he gets sued for malpractice or like in a bar grievance. And so my husband said that sometimes.
Mr. Firehelm, do you recall reviewing phone records from Terry Stainer?
Right, exactly, Dee Dee. Like, why is he
I
doing
might
this?
have, but I don't think so.
Do you recall Terry Stainer's
our friend,
testimony at
right?
trial?
Terry was Amy's friend.
Not in any way I could talk about it today.
Well, why didn't you go?
If I represented to you that the transcripts
Oh,
indicate that Terry Stainer was testifying about
call
Amy being upset
Deborah.
or scared of Todd, or that she testified about Amy saying, "Look for me in the timber," would you agree with that?
Yeah, he is.
Yes, I think so.
If we can show the witness 372.
I know this guy said that he's done crime defense his whole life. I don't understand. Like misdemeanors? He could not possibly have, I don't know that for a fact. He said he's tried 7 capital, no, what did he say? And I'm gonna go pull his affidavit. I'm
Do you
just
know if you've ever seen this before, Mr. Firehelm?
but I'm still practicing, so like Friday afternoons, I had some free
Best I
time.
can do is I don't think so.
Really.
And can you tell what it is?
It looks like phone records, and at the top it says David Stainer.
If these phone records would have impeached
I didn't
Terry
even-
Stainer, would you have used them at trial?
Sure.
Oh Lord.
If they would have
Yes,
discredited
I'm-
her about Amy coming to her house crying
I don't want to disparage him. He seems like a nice guy.
in October 15th, 2018, would you have impeached her with proof that Amy didn't?
Out in this case. And I'm definitely not
Sure,
always
anytime you
pro
can
defendant.
discredit a witness,
I'm
you
pro-proof.
try. I don't know how this would do that, but yes.
Okay, we can take that
See,
one.
that's what I mean. He doesn't, that, like, I'm actually running into this a lot in my real life.
Mr. Firehelm, do you remember a
Older
witness by the
guys
name of Corey Volker?
know about, like, technology, and they've got to get up to speed
I don't
on it a little bit at
recall
least.
that name.
Or not take cases like this.
You
Oh
don't
my God,
recall
you
any
know who that is?
investigation into Mr. Volker's relationship with Amy?
Did he have, I'm being serious question. I wonder, like, did he have some type of mental health issues at that time?
I'm not connecting that name with her, no.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it if people are like, you know what, I'm 70 years old, I'm about to retire, I don't want to learn it. I get it. But also, then you can't take a case where technology would potentially exculpate somebody. I know, Ryan. I can't figure out though why he's doing it. Like, I'm afraid this is going to get used in a malpractice suit. This testimony. I mean, maybe he knows that, or maybe I just can't figure out why Todd hasn't already filed for malpractice. Maybe there's some weird Iowa rule. I don't know.
Do you recall having in
No,
discovery
Bartlett
text
is back
messages
in
between
state.
Amy and Corey Volker?
Yeah. Corey,
I'm not recognizing that name.
like,
Would you be surprised to learn that Mr. Volker knew about Amy's affair with Jerry Frazier?
what is Corey another? I just
Again, without picturing him or linking him
You know
somehow,
who Corey is?
I'm at a loss here.
This is bad.
We
I mean,
can show
good
the
for
witness
Todd, but
268.
Corey.
So, Mr. Firehelm, can you look at this and tell me what it
Oh.
is? To the best of your, I guess, ability to identify it.
It's SMS text messages. It says Corey Volker.
Like, what was he
And-
doing during for trial?
Have you ever seen this before?
I don't think so.
What the Corey? A possible suspect in her death due to his stated interest in a sexual. Can you say that on YouTube? I don't even know. Relationship and his threats to extort Amy using his knowledge and information about her
Okay, we
affair
can
with
take that one.
Thrasher as leverage. Dang.
Do you remember there being witness testimony about Amy screaming and getting into a fight or being upset with Todd?
Ryan, did you watch the first one? Did you watch the first trial, like when it happened? Or even since then?
Oh, looks like Mr. Firehelm is frozen.
Mr. Firehelm,
Oh
are you
God,
able
this
to
is
hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, looks like your video is frozen.
oh my God, y'all, what if he can't retire? Like, what if, I know it's not like a lot of attorneys will work until their grave, and I just
I don't recall a screaming match between Amy and Todd. No.
Do you recall any text
No.
messages
Deborah, what if he had
about
like
Amy screamed?
early onset dementia, or not even early?
I'm not recalling it today. No.
And did you do any investigation to determine the facts surrounding the text messages the state presented at
Yeah, he
trial?
didn't. Right, on what was available then, right? And the job that I mean,
No,
I agree, he
I
didn't
don't recall at this time.
present enough reasonable doubt. They didn't present enough to raise the, like rate. What is wrong with me? It was a murder. If it was a murder, Todd would be the most likely. Right. And I read this article the other day about like the narrative that jurors need to hear.
Mr. Firehelm, you might want to turn your camera off and turn it back on. It looks like you're still frozen here,
Oh
but
my
we
God,
can't
this
hear
is so
you.
sad, and on so many levels.
Right now, I've lost that bar at the bottom where I can turn things on and off. All I have is that exhibit in front of me right now.
Oh my God, man.
We've taken the exhibit down, so I am not sure.
I agree with
What
what
advice
you're
to
both
give
saying, Ryan
Oh,
and Deborah. If
You see me now?
yep,
Okay.
we're back. We talked a
there
little
was
bit
not
yesterday
reasonable doubt
about
based on that trial.
Todd asking you to have the accident theory investigated. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And I wanted to clarify if it was your testimony that Todd Mullis was just shotgunning, and if you could explain what that characterization means.
Well, Todd would write these long letters. Well, not all of them long, but there was
What else? He was in prison.
there was a
wasn't
lot
he?
of it. And there would be ideas or questions and so forth. And like I said, since I couldn't email him back, we would either when I went to see him at the jail or when we talked on the phone, we would address those things. And that's how I kind of interpret Todd told me and Bob,
Ryan.
you know, I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking, I'm putting these things out there. That's kind of what I meant.
Okay, that helps.
I didn't mean what he was doing was inappropriate. It's just that's kind of the methodology that went on between the three of us.
You mean the correct conclusion about like it being an
Did you-
accident and how it
Do you
happened,
recall answering Todd about whether
but just not the sequence of how
the two times ever
injuries
came
occurred?
out of the right two wounds?
I don't remember that type of specificity. I don't think we did, no.
Where are his trial notes? Like, why has he not?
Would you say that Todd
put this
consistently
on, like, looking
asked
for-
you
I would have.
about evidence that Amy's death was the result of an accident?
Out of my own interest. Like, I don't want to get sued.
Earlier on, yes, and maybe continuing for a while, but I don't think that was a big issue as we came down
Bye,
the
Deborah.
stretch towards the trial.
Thank you for tuning in. I'll announce them. I'll try and announce them further in advance. About
Do
like
you recall testifying in
falling
your
on it, like,
deposition
twice, like coming up
that
with
Todd
it
never
and falling.
stopped
I don't get why she
asking
was
you
on
to
her
investigate
corner
whether it was an accident?
facing forward? I don't really understand that.
I don't recall that specific question, no.
I also am not really very good at like
We can,
thinking through mechanics and like physically how something like this happen.
we will show you your deposition, Mr. Firehelm, just a moment here.
I have it here if
I wish people could talk.
if you want to
on
give me
it.
a page.
Yes,
Um,
you could turn to page 23
Yeah, what is it? What do you think, Ryan?
and look at line 5. Yes, page 23, line 5.
I just don't, I still do not get why this guy took this case at all.
Okay, I see it.
And so in your
I know, I'm
deposition,
sorry.
you
Are
testified,
you in the Facebook
no,
group,
Todd
Ryan?
never stopped asking about experts in an accident theory.
For the, not qualified period.
That was my answer. That's correct.
Okay.
Deborah, are you trial hopping today?
I want to touch on communication with Mr. Mullis briefly. I believe you said you testified that Todd would call you from the jail before trial.
Reverse engineer it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember there were phone calls, yes.
Did you have concerns about the confidentiality of those
Sure, it's
phone
hard
calls?
to explain like in writing.
I don't remember if the jail staff assured us that they would be confidential or not. I think they did,
Oh, the
but
mercy thing?
I'll answer your question. No, I didn't have a concern.
So do you recall telling Todd that you couldn't say a whole lot on the calls when he would call you?
Gotcha, Ryan.
I don't remember that, no.
Do you know if you
Hold on, I'm
scheduled
gonna
legal
go- I'm
calls
just
at
gonna- I'm
either
gonna
the
go with you.
Buchanan or Dubuque?
Oh, I probably went way too far.
We'll show you your deposition. Yes, page 23, line 5.
I wish that we had the deposition transcript. Deborah, do you watch Court TV and Law and Crime? Like, do you
Okay,
do
I
both?
see it.
And so in your deposition, you testified, no, Todd never stopped asking about experts in an accident theory.
That's what the Mercy killing lady got.
That was my answer. That's correct.
Okay.
I don't know anything about that one.
I want to touch on communication with Mr. Mullis briefly. I believe you said you testified that
Back to back.
Todd would call you from the jail before trial.
Law and Crime, sometimes the chat, people are vicious.
Yeah, I remember there were phone calls, yes.
Did you have concerns about the confidentiality of those phone calls?
Oh, I mean, they're jailhouse calls, so they're not confidential.
I don't remember if the jail staff assured us that they would be confidential or not. I think I think they
Oh,
did,
that's
but
from Deborah. No.
I'll answer your question. No, I didn't have a concern.
So do you recall telling Todd that you couldn't say a whole lot on the calls when he would call you?
I don't remember that, no.
Do you know if you scheduled legal calls at either the Buchanan or Dubuque County
On the right
jails?
one or left.
I really, it would just be a wild guess. At Dubuque,
This guy worries me. Like, is he still practicing right now?
we would have had to have done it in the evening.
I shouldn't say
And
that.
I think I was there, but pretty sure it was more than once. I know the night before the trial started, I went there on a Sunday night. But I think there were more than that.
The weird thing about it is this guy's been practicing for 40-something years. But to your point, that doesn't
I
make
want to pivot now to your opening statement
qualified.
at this trial.
Maybe at one point.
Did you discuss that with your co-counsel, Mr. Sabers?
I find it hard to believe that he tried 7 or 8 murder one cases.
I think Mr. Sabers was there the night before the trial started. And whether or not we talked about the opening statement, I don't remember.
Cool deal. Good deal, Ryan. I'm gonna make it's just my personal one on there, but I think I'm gonna make like a
Do you remember testifying in your deposition
one for
that you didn't give him a copy or a draft of your opening?
YouTube, but yeah, definitely do that. Deborah, you're not in this Facebook group.
That would be accurate.
It's,
I don't remember specifically in the deposition, but that
Mullis
would be
one.
true.
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
That night before trial began and you met with Mr. Mullis in the Dubuque County Jail, did you tell him what the substance of your opening statement was going to be?
Well, it's pretty one-sided. I didn't see another one about Todd Mullis's trial, but it's
I
Todd
don't remember.
Mullis is innocent. So it's pretty one-sided.
Okay, I want to pivot again. I'm sorry. I feel like I just keep jumping. You testified yesterday that you visited the Mullis farm, and I believe that you looked into the shed and kind of in the farmyard.
We went to the shed where this took place, and I don't think we went into the other buildings, but Lynn and Mike pointed out, I'm pretty sure Mike was there, what the other buildings were.
Who's
And
Mike?
like, there's the 2 hog barns, there's the machine shed and so forth. And then I think it was just Lynn and I went in the house and sat and talked.
The weird thing is that, I mean, normally this isn't.
Do you recall
isolated,
taking
right?
any
like
steps to
look up
learn what Amy was doing before her death in the hog barn?
What she was doing in the hog barn?
Right, before she went to the shed?
Just what just what Todd and Kristin testified to.
Can you just?
And that's what Todd had told me in our conversations.
So, do you recall there being injuries to Amy's right hand?
I'm trying to see if there's. I don't think he's filed a grievance.
I don't
switched the other
recall
day and didn't
specifically,
see it.
no.
Do you recall doing any investigation to determine if they could have been caused by cleaning the light fixtures in the hog barn that morning?
There was no investigation as to that, and I don't remember Todd or Tristan saying that had happened. Todd said he was concerned about her balance and she was trying to do too much after this medical procedure.
Yeah, but if he told you,
Mr. Firehelm, I should have shown this to you yesterday, so I apologize, but this is demonstrative 275. I don't know for sure which camera I'm. Try not to cough. Do you know if you've ever seen this before?
I will say I grew up in a rural area, not on a farm, but with a lot of farmers. And
We're gonna try another camera.
I did not think it was implausible. I mean, I know it sounds like if you phrase it like, "Oh, she fell on it twice herself," but like I have like my
You know if you ever
grandmother
saw
lost
this
a
before?
finger. Like
I don't think so.
things happen.
Did you ever
farms.
consider if Amy was
Freak
cleaning
accident.
these and putting her hand in there that it could have created injuries on her hand?
Objection,
Circumstantial evidence.
speculation.
Shut up, Tweedledum. Sorry.
Sustained.
Did you ever consider if the hog barn light fixtures could have caused an injury to Amy Mullis's hand?
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Do you recall doing any investigation into farming accidents as a theory of defense?
No investigation into that, no.
Do you recall examining the corn rake that officers seized from the farm?
During the trial, yes.
But not before, is that
Deborah just keeps putting up.
what you're telling me?
Yes.
So did you see the blood on the handle of the corn rake?
That was what made me think she like reached back.
Not before the trial.
Right.
Did you take any investigative
Had to come
steps to
out all
determine
the way,
how the
especially with
blood would have
our
gotten there or whose blood it was?
No.
Do you recall Todd asking you in letters to look at the rake and the physical evidence?
Oh my God. Oh my
I
God.
think he did, yes.
Did you ever look at Amy Mullis's clothing from November 10th, specifically the coat, the sweatshirt, and the long sleeve shirt that she was wearing when she was injured?
Honestly,
No.
they could have called just this guy. I mean, no, they couldn't.
Did you take
Technically.
any investigation into the holes in the clothing in relation to Amy's injuries on her body?
That is smart.
Well, when you say investigation, I mean, there were photographs in the reports that were made part of the discovery, but any specific investigation or having some independent person look at them and so forth, no.
Did you take any steps to reconcile Dr. Cruz's opinion that the rake would have been swung 2 to 3 times, but there were only 4 holes in the coat?
No, I don't think so.
And Mr. Firehelm, are you looking at your deposition? I see you're looking down.
I have it right here in front of me, yes.
Oh, but it breaks my heart. I just wish he would have not ever taken this case for everyone's sake, right? He's probably a perfectly fine attorney in other situations. Like, I wonder if she probably is not going to ask about that. It's not really relevant. I wonder what the cross is going to be like, because how odd is that? Like, hey,
Do you recall looking
they
at
want
the
to make it seem like
security
they did an
camera system
awesome
at the
job.
Mullis farm?
It's so reverse.
It was either Mike or Lynn showed it.
Agree,
The
right?
one camera over in the machine shed, I think, that was not functioning.
Do you recall testimony from state witnesses that the security cameras were not working November 10th, 2018?
I just wonder, like, she's not going to want to bring up this. Well, maybe.
I don't know if they testified that all security cameras were, but the only one I remember there being concern or testimony about was that one. Because I think it would have been directed towards the shed where this happened.
If he had a really heavy caseload.
Do
at
you
the
recall
time, if
Deputy
he had some
Himsath
health issues,
testifying that the cameras had been turned off?
I think he did, yes.
If you had evidence that Todd was
said,
not
like,
on the
7.
farm when that happened,
That's,
would you have presented it to impeach Deputy Himsath?
I'm going to confirm that, Deborah. In his affidavit, he said, oh God, this is, yeah.
I'm not recalling Himsath's exact testimony about whether or not he thought Todd turned them off or when they got turned off.
Well, it said,
So I don't know how I
I
would
tried to
have
pull that up yesterday.
used it.
Do you
It
recall an
didn't seem like
inference
he did a ton of
that
criminal work, which doesn't make sense
In the-
because he said that's all he had basically done his whole career. In his
in
affidavit, he
committing
said,
murder, Todd would have turned the cameras off?
at the time of this trial, I had been
the
lead
state was
counsel
trying
in
to make?
approximately 7 first degree, and then the
Well, yeah, I think they were
sentence
trying to
doesn't
create whatever inference they could.
finish. It's left
And
open,
if you could have
which
rebutted that
probably
inference, would you have?
first degree M, but
Sure.
like your affidavit isn't even right, dude.
Did you do any investigation to determine whether Amy Mullis or her boyfriend Jerry Frazier could have turned off their surveillance cameras to hide their affair?
No.
I just need to know why he's not consult. I mean, I guess I think
You
there's
didn't
a
consult
for
any
this.
expert about the surveillance
I
footage?
didn't find a subpoena for
No.
it yesterday. Hold on, I'm trying to see. the
And
grievance
do you
commission.
remember doing any investigation
Right.
as to whether the camera lost signal versus things were deleted?
No.
I think yesterday we talked a little bit about hearsay objections and your motion in limine. Do you remember that?
Yes.
This baffles me.
Did you know that by failing to make an objection during trial that you were waiving that issue for appeal?
He didn't object at all.
Yes.
What the? What?
Did you have any discussions with Todd about waiving that appellate issue?
What?
No, I don't think we did.
If the transcripts reflect that you didn't make any hearsay objections during the testimony of Terry Stainer, would you agree with that?
I think I would, yes.
What?
Would the same be true then for Patricia Christopherson
I think so.
Okay, but
and
why?
Carrie Callanan?
Yes.
Did you just tune the F out? I'm so.
Do you remember discussions with Mr. Sabers about seeking a change of venue for the trial?
Yes.
I know, Deborah. Well, better for Todd, but worse in that. I mean, come on.
Do you? Let me start over. Was venue changed from Delaware County?
Yes.
And where did it go?
Dubuque County.
Did you consider asking for an additional change of venue from Dubuque County?
Should. Sir,
I don't know if we considered filing another request.
What is his last name?
I know, I think Bob actually maybe was the one that made the comment that we had gone from the frying pan into the fire as far as publicity and so forth.
So if you
Did you
knew it was
know-
going to be that,
If both Delaware County and Dubuque County
case.
share a media market?
Yeah, well, I know that from growing up, the Telegraph Herald comes out of Dubuque, the daily paper.
So right now it says
The Waterloo TV station cover.
he's a
I
sole
think both
practitioner.
counties.
He said that on the stand. And I'm looking up his bar record, and it says
Do you recall
reinstating his disability or disciplinary
expressing
orders in
frustration to your
Iowa.
co-counsel
No results
that
found.
a jury in Dubuque was not going to be any more neutral than one in Delaware?
Oh,
I don't know if I said it or Bob said it or we both did, but that's certainly.
Did you have any considerations about whether a jury in Dubuque would have a fair cross-section representation of jurors?
I know nothing about Iowa, but I'm assuming Dubuque is more of a metropolitan
I
area.
don't know if that was a comment maybe made by the trial judge or by somebody in the room, so to speak, that it was just a more populated county than Delaware.
Do you remember
Maybe they
considering or
don't know about
researching
farming.
whether farmers are excused from jury duty in September
Yes.
due to harvest?
I'm trying to find that out, Deborah. I mean, I don't know.
I didn't research it, but I've certainly
It would run from what, 20?
had trials where farm chores and field work came up as an issue about whether or not a person stayed on the jury or not.
Do you remember any investigation or research into what kinds of jurors you thought could be fair and impartial?
Not like, you need some farmers.
I just relied on my experience.
Oh, gee, see, that's
Do you recall investigating
jury study?
whether Todd was planting crops or harvesting at the time of any of the Google searches that the state attributed to him?
No, not Med-Mal.
Well, I know certainly Todd told us that, which I think was confirmed by Mike or Lynn or both.
Did you do any investigation or seek any documents that would have confirmed Todd was operating the planter in April and May of 2018 during these questionable Google searches?
No, I don't think so.
Are you familiar with the Farm Acre book and farm insurance?
Familiar with what?
A Farm Acre book and the concept of farm insurance? Crop insurance, I'm sorry.
Generally, it looks like 5
No,
years.
I'm not.
Is the
If you could have produced evidence that Todd did not have access to the iPad or the internet on the dates of those searches, would you have presented that at trial?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. But,
Do you recall telling the court that you had a family issue come up during this trial?
oh, here we go. This is what I wondered if she would
Yes.
ask, if there was some issue.
And would that have been distracting to you?
I hear you, Ryan.
It was concerning, yes.
That is when you like hand it off to your co-counsel if it's significant enough and withdraw from the case because you're doing your client a disservice at that point.
I want to talk a little bit about Jerry Frazier and your references to him or your plan with regards to evidence about Jerry Frazier. Do you remember who he is?
So the statute would have ran.
Yes.
Do you recall in your deposition explaining that you were going to point to him as a possible perpetrator that was part of your plan?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you have any evidence that supported that
When was
Jerry
that?
Frazier
19.
had come onto the Mullis farm November 10th and attacked Amy?
I don't recall that.
20.
Do you recall deposing Jerry Frazier?
Yes.
Do you recall whether he had an alibi for the time that she was injured?
19 trial.
I believe he did.
Did you have any other evidence that you were going to present at trial that supported Jerry Frazier being the perpetrator?
Nothing other than his relationship with Amy.
Did you have any other evidence to present that someone else was on the farm that day?
No.
Do you recall your closing argument?
Not really, not any specifics.
Do you recall arguing that it was a murder mystery?
I might have said that, I don't know.
Would you defer to the transcript?
Yes.
Have you ever
I'm more
challenged chain of
concerned
custody or
about
contamination of evidence
a
in a criminal
grievance,
case?
like a grievance.
Yes.
I mean, I guess he's like,
In your representation of Mr. Mullis, did you investigate how the corn rake was handled by law enforcement?
I don't recall doing that, no.
Do you recall considering whether additional forensic testing of the rake could be helpful to you?
agreed, Deborah. Did y'all know I'm not speaking ill of the
I don't
dead, I'm not,
recall considering that, no.
but she was caught in the back of a sheriff's car or a deputy's car. They got locked,
Can I have just a moment
like
here?
messing around with the
think I'm
deputy, and they got locked
can.
in the back of his cop car. And she was like, this is in the PCR application. And so I'm like, how did this woman have the time or energy being like a farmer's wife with 3 kids and a nurse? And I mean, I know she left her job, but it's like exhausting to me even just thinking about it. How did she have the time or energy for these dalliances? Like,
I'm gonna step away and lock my front door so we don't get interrupted.
Thank you.
What did he say? Where did he go? Was he like, screw this, I'm done? I gotta go pee. What did he say? Peace. Did he just get up? What happened? I need to pay attention and stop talking.
Of evidence in a criminal case?
Yes.
In your representation of Mr. Mullis, did you investigate how the corn rake was handled?
Went too far. Sorry. Oh, he was squeezing. Okay. I thought maybe he's like, F this, I'm done. Can't take it. Poor dude. I feel bad for almost everyone in this case. Like, I don't really feel bad for him because he shouldn't have taken the case, or he should have gotten out if he had stuff going on. But, because I mean, really, like, on the corn rake for right. Yes. Yeah. I don't understand. And again, like, I'm not a medical examiner and I'm not a biomechanical engineer, but I don't get how the position of the rake or like where it was found, like Dr. Cruz acted like none of that mattered to her at all. I don't know. I don't like,
Mr. Fire?
I try and stay in my lane. I know
Do
tax,
you
I know
remember
law.
there being a
That's what I know.
time that Todd Mullis agreed with you that Amy's death was a homicide?
Wait, did I rewind too far? Did we already said this part? Am I way behind? I probably am. Whoops. Oh, are they on break? I suck at this. I've got to learn how to. I've got to learn how to live stream better. Y'all are amazing for even hanging out with me. I know nothing about mics. I did get this HyperX mic. My son was like, "Mom, that's a gaming mic." So who's clueless in Maryland? See, I know what. Yeah, I gotta learn how to stream better, do YouTube. I do enjoy doing this, but I really am not good at it enough to leave my day job. Oh crap! I've got to pick up my son. I just realized. Wait, as to what's going on now? Clueless in Maryland. Who's in Maryland? Or Deborah, are you in Maryland? Oh, you don't have to answer that. Yeah. On the screen. Can you actually, is this mic really bad? Is the audio really bad? I don't know how people test out their audio. I know nothing about like microphones. Is it a break? Yeah. I had rewound it. And then when I went back live, they were on a break. Ryan, okay, good. All right, good deal. I just realized I've got to leave in like 5 minutes to go get my son from school. I really would have almost forgot. But thank you guys so much for hard to hear when video is playing there. Well, so I think I should just not talk because like when the videos, what do other people do? Do they just not talk? Like if they're live streaming, they pause it. I just think people get annoyed. Yeah, I'm competing with the audios. Yeah. I don't want to be obnoxious. Yeah, when he comes back, I'll try and jump on. I'm going to start trying to like actually announce when I'm doing them if I can, or but I wonder, let's see, what time is it there? They're Central Time, right? 2:24. So they got like 2 hours. Oh, yeah. That's probably the best way to do it. Yeah. I also am like, do people like live streams better? Do they just want people to make videos like talking about like a recap at the end of the day of here's the like legal aspects of it? Oh, you're so nice, Deborah. I feel like I'm not helpful at all, but I do enjoy doing it. You like live streams? Well, and I wish there was I know when I'm on live streams and other people like I'm watching somebody else's live stream and I wish I could like it's so hard to type things out, right? And like get it across. But I don't really know any other way. Aw, you're sweet, Deborah. We'll get there. I don't even really know what my goal is with this, but well, I will say this. I think the legal system and the judicial system is really misunderstood by a lot of people. And so if I can help explain some of it in like everyday terms that, aren't confusing. Oh, from the chat from the court TV chat. Is his last name Wilson? That's his screen name. Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'll try and do more of them and actually let people know. But y'all are awesome. I'm gonna run get this kid before they call me. But thank you both so much. And I'll try and jump back on and like when I get back from getting him. I hope y'all have a good night. Bye. Oh, crap. Happy Friday to you too, Deborah. Woo! Friday. All right, y'all. Ryan, send me your requests. I think that's what you meant. Yes, got it. All right. Bye, y'all.